Yo, it's your boy Ace, and I'm excited for this episode. A lot of you have been reaching out and talking about how you want to get in better shape, you want to get in the gym, you want to change this part of your life, but you just don't feel motivated. Like, are you feeling stuck or you're just not really feeling like doing the things that you know you're supposed to do? Well, you're in for a special treat because on this episode, I'm going to share with you how to exactly become motivated. Do the things that you know you're supposed to do, even when you are just over it and you don't feel like it. Stay tuned because this is going to be a good one right here on the New Normal Show. Welcome to the New Normal Show. I'm your host, Ace, and I am back for an impactful episode. I really do believe that this is going to be a game changer for you if you allow it. But before we get into the episode, I want to say thank you for everyone that has been sharing it. That's you. Thank you so much. If you're new and this is your first time here, I want to say welcome, and your presence is felt. If you really love us, right? If you really love us and you want us to help more people, please subscribe to the podcast, rate us 5 stars, and leave a kind review. That's how you give back to us. This is how we get shown and seen and heard by more people around the world who could benefit from the content just like you have. So I want to say thank you in advance for doing that. You are greatly appreciated and welcome to the New Normal Show community. Let's get into the episode. I get asked all the time. No, I don't. Don't you hate when people say that? They say, everyone always asks me, or I get asked all the time. It's like, no, you don't. But I do get asked often in my social media world from people, maybe like yourself, that is struggling with motivation. You're struggling with whether it's the gym, changing how you eat, it's starting something, creating something. You're struggling with doing something when you don't feel like it. And a common question that I get is, Ace, I'm struggling. How do I work out when I don't feel like it? How do I stay on track with my eating when I don't feel like it? And I can understand that because we're human and it's just instinctual for us to not do things we don't feel like doing. We don't feel like waking up, so we hit the snooze. We do things that we want to do in the moment, and it's hard for us to do the things that we know we're supposed to do because honestly, the things that's usually best for us does not come the most natural to us. And that's why discipline is so important, because most of the time you have to be disciplined on things that you naturally just don't want to do. And if I could be honest, what I have found in my life, just in my own journey, even within like the last year and a half, the things that have made me more successful or have helped me grow in other areas have been doing the little mundane, boring things each and every day. It's not the home runs. It's not the sexy stuff. It's really doing the little things that we overlook, or the things that are boring, or the things that aren't sexy, or don't get the most likes, or wouldn't get the most views. It's doing the little things over and over and over again that really yields the most results. And, I know I say this all the time, but there's someone here that is new to the show. I've lost over 70 pounds in the last year. And one, that's a lot of weight. But two, there have been moments in my life, like I would say out of 37 years, 33, I've been in really good shape, but maybe 32. But like the last 4 to 5 years, I haven't. I've really been up and down. And I've tried in the past to change how I ate and, work out, do different activities, and it just wouldn't stick. And oftentimes it was due to the fact I didn't want to work out. I didn't want to eat healthier foods. I wanted to do the things that made me feel good in the moment because I prioritize feeling good than being good. And I'm going to say that again because you might have missed that. I prioritized feeling good in the moment rather than being good down the road. And when it comes to motivation, the first thing I will say is that motivation, it's an emotion. It's like happiness. It comes and goes in waves. You're not going to be motivated every single day. So really, if you can understand that part, if you can really understand and get in your mind that motivation is not something that you are going to have every day, that's half of the battle. Because when you're signing up for progress and growth and success in whatever field you're looking to get it in, a part of that contract that you've signed is that you're not going to feel like doing any of this every day. You're just not. And the sooner that you can accept that and surrender that you're not going to feel motivated every single day, I believe the sooner you'll be able to do the things that you know you're supposed to do, even when you don't feel like it, because you recognize that that's a part of the deal. It's a part of the contract to do the things that you don't want to do. And what I have found, and I want to give this to you, in order for me to have lost all that weight in that period of time, I had to do it when I didn't feel like doing it. Because every single day I did not feel like exercising. I didn't feel like eating the foods I was eating. I didn't feel like going to bed early. I didn't feel like doing any of that shit. Like I didn't feel like doing it, but I did it. And the biggest switch that I made that I want to give to you is I had to prioritize the outcome more than the process. Now, what do I mean? Nobody wants to go to the gym every single day. Everybody dreads. I don't care how in shape you are or how much fitness is a part of your lifestyle. There are moments when you dread going to the gym or going on that run or doing that thing. But the one thing that we all can agree on is that we never regret it when we're done. We never finish a workout, a training session, a walk, a run, a weightlifting session, a yoga session. We never finish saying, I wish I would have stayed in bed. We've never said that. The feeling that you get when you're finished is always going to supersede the feeling that you have when you start. So the key to doing things that you don't want to do or when you don't feel like doing it, when you're not motivated, is always keeping on the forefront of your mind that you are going to be so grateful when it's over. The person that is willing to do the things that are imperative to their growth when they don't feel like it is always going to win. Always. I always think about, my basketball days. And now I'm 37 years old. I'm like the old man on the porch. It's like back in my day, none of these youngins could have handled me. I'm like that dude. But I can truly say that I was never the most naturally talented basketball player. I grew up playing baseball my whole life. I didn't really start taking basketball serious till I was about 14 years old. When I was about like the summer going into freshman year in high school, that's when I really started to take basketball seriously. But even then, I wasn't the most naturally gifted basketball player. I was a gifted athlete. I could play any sport and succeed. But with basketball, I really had to work hard at being very good. And so even when I wasn't the most talented naturally, there was no one that was going to do the things that I was willing to do to get better. Like, you weren't going to do the drills like me. You weren't going to run the miles. You weren't going to run the fastest mile. You weren't going to train on the weekends. You weren't going to beg for someone to take you to the gym because you don't have your driver's license. You wasn't going to shoot outside in the snow with no gloves on. Like, you just weren't going to do that. And so I knew in the back of my mind that whenever I played against someone that naturally was talented, I knew I had a competitive advantage because they weren't willing to go through the lengths I was willing to go through to succeed. And that gave me an edge whenever I would play against higher ranked players than me, teams that were ranked higher. I came in with that competitive advantage that I'm willing to go Rocky 4 on you. I'm willing to go, Drago! Drago! Like, I'm willing to go and run through the snowy hills of Russia to be good. I'm willing to do that. And that mindset is something that if all of us had, and I could be honest, I lost it. I lost it. Like, a part of this whole journey of this physical, emotional, mental transformation I've had was I had to go back and get that mentality. And a part of it was because, and this is kind of aside, this was the first time in my life right now, this last year, where having a healthy lifestyle did not have a means to an end. With basketball, there was a means to an end. I trained this way so I could perform this way and so I can get noticed in that way. Like, there was a reason behind it. Now it's like there is no end. Like, my end is like my death. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really discover, how am I going to approach this differently with that same mentality? I had to go back and find out, what was it about me that was willing to do things that I didn't want to do to go where I wanted to go. And I had to pair that mindset with this new person now. And I say that to say, when you understand that the little things are what separate the good and the great, it gets easier to do things when you don't feel like doing it, because you know that most people aren't willing to do it. You are separating yourself from the majority of the world when your alarm wakes you up and you do not hit the snooze. Like, the moment that you get out of bed on the first alarm, you've separated yourself from most people. The moment that you tell yourself you're going to the gym and you don't feel like it and you do it anyway, you've separated yourself from the majority of the world. The moment that you give your word and you follow through no matter what's going on, you separate yourself from the majority of the world. So a part of being motivated when you don't feel like it is understanding that you're not always going to feel like it, but most people operate through feelings anyway. Their feelings govern their actions. So when they don't feel like it, they just won't do it. And I've been there. And I'm sure you have too, maybe right now or at some point in your life, like your feelings were driving the car to your dreams. And I promise you, you're never going to get to your dreams if your feelings are behind the wheel. So if you want to be motivated when you don't feel like it, a part of that contract is you have to embrace not always feeling like it, but know that you doing it anyway is the separator from you and everyone else. Now, I will also say that when you're doing what you're called to do, you're not in any competition, right? I'm in a competition of one. It's just me, right? It's just me. So knowing that I'm in a competition of just myself, the only person I really have to worry about is myself. And that kind of sometimes is even harder than competing with someone else, because you can see what someone else is doing and you can see how someone else is operating and compare what, he or she is doing versus what you're currently doing. But when you're in a lane all by yourself and you're competing with you, it's really just you and your potential. And when I look back at my life with the new frame that I have now, I could see that I was losing to my potential a lot, where I settled a lot. I operated a lot of how I felt. And, if I didn't really want to do it, I would do it, but I wouldn't give it everything that I had. And now, when you look at whatever it is that you want to accomplish with your life, and you're in a lane all to yourself, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, is today going to be better than yesterday? Because essentially, that's the only real competition driver that you have, especially when you're mission driven, when you're living a life bigger than you, and when you're caving into not doing the thing that you're supposed to do, you tend to look at not just you not doing it, but who's at effect to you not doing it, meaning who's going to suffer by you going through the motions. And when I look back at my life in my 20s and my early 30s, I was really kind of just looking at myself like, okay, well, I'm the only one that knows that I'm not doing this, or I'm the only one that's going to suffer because of it. And that's just not true. There is going to be a ripple effect that comes with you not doing things because you're not motivated. There are going to be people, there's going to be a mission, there's going to be things that are going to suffer due to the fact that you don't feel like doing the things that you're supposed to do. And that's the hard part with motivation, is because motivation is a moment in time. It's about you feeling like doing something right now, currently. This is how when people say January 1st, new year, new me, and it sounds great in the moment, and it's easy to be motivated about something that's in the future. I'm going to do this when this happens. January 1st, I'm all in. I'm doing the gym membership. I'm getting a meal prep. I'm doing all this stuff. And it sounds good when you're saying it December 20th. But when that alarm clock goes off on January 12th, February 2nd, March 10th, now what? When you told yourself that you were going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning because you were going to get your workout in early, and it goes off and you're tired, now what? This is the difference between you maximizing your potential to the best of your ability or settling in mediocrity. Are you going to follow through on your word? And that, in essence, is what this episode is about. If you want to do things when you don't want to do them, it comes down to, are you a man or a woman of your word? Because at the end of the day, that should be the only thing that matters. I don't have kids yet, but I can imagine that my word is going to have to be bond as a father and as a husband. When I say I'm going to do something, it's not only me that has to deal with that, it's my children and it's my wife. If I tell them I'm going to do something, they're looking for me to deliver on that promise. And this is not an on and off switch. It's not something that you have to, okay, when I'm married or when I lose 50 pounds or when I make this amount of money, then I will do it. No, you got to do it now. If you want to be a great husband, you want to be a great wife, you got to start now before you're married. You got to be a great husband to yourself. You have to be a great wife to yourself. You have to make these decisions as if your wife or your husband is present. So you want to start doing things when you don't feel motivated? Ask yourself this question: how strong is your word to you? How important is it for you to follow through on promises that you made to yourself? Because it is unfair for me or for you to hold someone to a standard that you are unwilling to hold yourself to. It is not fair for you to get upset at someone that dropped the ball, or they said that they were going to do something and they didn't. It's unfair for you to blow a gasket on them and you let yourself off the hook, because the only person that you have complete control over is you. The only person that actually you can control you delivering on that promise is you. So you getting upset over someone that you cannot control and you not getting nearly as upset at the one that you can is unacceptable. How strong is your word to yourself? That should be the only thing that matters. When I sought out to go on this fitness journey, it literally was about how strong was my word to myself. How many times was I going to say I was going to do it and I didn't do it? I needed to see from me that I was a person of my word. It had nothing to do with the way that I ate, how many times a week I went to the gym, none of that. It had everything to do with me following through on my word to myself. You don't need to be motivated to do that. You don't need to feel energized to do that. You don't need to be happy to do that. That's not what that's about. You just have to look at yourself and say, if I want to be this person that I believe I'm called to be, it starts with me following through on my word. And the more that you follow through on it, the easier it is for you to sustain it long term. It gets easier. When you say you're going to do something and you do it, that's why I'm a huge proponent of setting smaller, sustainable, adherable goals. This is why. This is the reason. One of the biggest reasons why people don't follow through on their health goals or any other goal is because they set the bar way too high. They're swinging for the fences when you need just to make contact. You have to see yourself follow through on these smaller, doable decisions. Because the more that you start with small decisions, the easier the bigger decisions get, because you have proof of concept now. There's this term in the business world called proof of concept, meaning when you say that you're going to do something, you have evidence that you've done it. So when I'm coaching someone, oftentimes people will ask, well, who have you worked with before? Do you have proof of concept? And I'll show them testimonials or things like that to prove that what I'm doing is something that I can fulfill on that promise. So when you're hitting these smaller goals, you're developing a self-proof of concept. So when something more complicated comes up or a bigger goal or dream comes up, you can reference those smaller things that you were consistent on to trust that you can follow through on the bigger ones. This is how you get stuff done when you don't feel like it. This is how you accomplish things when you're not feeling like it. Is developing proof of concept with yourself. And that starts with following through on your word. Taking something that's a big goal and breaking it down to small, bite-sized, doable pieces that gives you self-proof of concept that you can do this because you can. I used to say this, and I'll close with this. I used to joke around back in the day when I first moved to California. There was like 5 or 6 of us living in a 3-bedroom apartment. It was like the definition of, hustling, right? Like we're all living in this 3-bedroom apartment. Two, sometimes 3 of us are living in the living room. I was sleeping on the couch, and we had 2 showers, 1 kitchen, obviously, and we're all just on this mission. And every last one of us was not from LA, right? So we're all, coming in here to pursue a dream. And one of the things that we did, we had like this like Nerf basketball hoop in the living room, and we would do like these shooting games, you know. And one of the things I would say if I was losing, I would say 8-ounce steak, 8-ounce steak, 8-ounce steak. And what I was telling them was one shot at a time, one bite at a time. If you have an 8-ounce steak or a 16-ounce or a 32, if you just do bite-sized pieces over time, eventually the steak will be eaten. But if you're looking at the entire steak and you're taking the biggest bite possible and you're trying to get it finished quick, well, you're probably going to choke, you're going to get sick, and it's not going to go well, and that experience is going to be terrible. But if you just take your time and do small bite-sized pieces that's duplicatable, you'll have a better overall experience, and eventually you will get it done without any choking, without any, pain or agony. Yeah, like you'll get full, but it's still doable. It's the exact same thing. 8-ounce steak, one bite at a time, duplicatable steps that gives you proof of concept that you can finish this thing. Don't wait until you feel like it. Just know as soon as you give your word, that's all you need to take a small step each and every day. And then over time, you'll get it done. And here's the beautiful part. When you are motivated, when you are in the zone, everything 10x's. You're already moving forward without even being motivated. Guess what happens when you feel like it in the moment? Oh, you're going to just take off. But waiting for that feeling is going to cost you so much in the long run. I hope this episode blessed you. If anyone comes to mind, feel free to share it. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you're new, leave a kind review, rate us 5 stars, and spread the word, man. We are here to help and serve, and we want to help and serve as many people as possible. But I want to thank you so much for your time. Out of all the assets in the world, the only thing we can't get back is our time. So I'm greatly appreciative that you spent 20 to 30 minutes of your time with us. Be safe, be blessed, and thank you for listening to the New Normal Show.